Hey, Monty. Hey, you guys. Hi, hi, hi. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello. I'm doing. I think I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lucas or Miss Lucas for saying that. I appreciate that. Hey, Angel. Hi, you guys. Hi. So, if you guys are meeting me for the very first time, my name is Tracie Collins. I'm the CEO. Kimberly, yes, there you go. CEO and founder of the National Black Doulas Association. And today we are chatting with Kimberly from the Earth app. So I'm excited to connect with her. The Earth app is one of our most recent partners that we have. We're joining forces. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and we're going to get started. So I'm going to let Kimberly in. Good morning, you guys. The things. Good morning. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm trying to get it together. I'm trying to come into it. Good
Good
morning.
morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I can't get these can't get these notifications to go away. Let's see. All right.
There
It's
you
good
go.
to see you.
Good to see you too. Happy 2023.
Okay. It was 2022 last we spoke, so I hope you had your rest and your restoration and your quiet time and came back to the new year feeling refreshed and good to go.
Well, I hope the same for you. I think I'm always on the journey of what you just said though. Like like I'm always trying to carve out any time of the day at any given moment to have that rest and time, recuperation time, all of the things. So I'm glad that number one, I love you, what you do, what you stand for. I'm so glad that the NBDA and Earth have joined forces. And I can't wait to see, we kind of brainstormed some ideas, but I can't wait to see what as it evolves. Let me
Yeah.
just say it like that. Let
I
me
could not agree with you more. It's so simple, long overdue, but I'm super excited about all the ways that we can impact doulas, birthing families, and push for the change that we all care about. That's so important.
right. It is. So for those of you, for those who don't know, could you explain the Earth app is and why you created it, why you filled that void, and the impact that it's having? And then I'll turn and introduce myself to your folks who are just joining.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Earth is like the word birth, but we dropped the B for bias. It is the first of its kind Yelp-like review and rating recommendation platform designed really just for Black and Brown women and birthing people to leave reviews of their OBGYNs, birthing hospitals, pediatricians up to baby's first year. So we accept reviews of the prenatal appointments. Come back, tell us about your birthing experience. Come back, tell us about your postpartum appointment, and then come back and tell us about your baby's visits up to the baby's first birthday. And what I love about Earth and why I'm so excited about this partnership is, not only does Earth accept reviews from mamas, birthing persons, the fathers and partners, but we accept reviews from doulas, right? Because we know that doulas are our eyes and ears for birth. They are our neighborhood watch for birth, right? And so we want doulas, to leave their reviews within the Earth App platform so that we can inform and protect each other. We know we just had another sister die 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles. It's like we are going to have to save ourselves out of this mess right now. And so we can use a digital platform like Earth so that we can inform and protect each other. And for me, doulas are a big part of that. And then lastly, on the back end, we turn those reviews into data to work directly with hospitals, payers, providers. We really believe in holding folks accountable, and we can only do that when we publicly share where we're getting good care and where we are not. We currently have a hospital pilot in Detroit. We just signed one in Philadelphia at Temple. We're signing on 2 hospitals in LA. Unfortunately, not the one where the sister passed, but we're going to get right on them real quick. We also are working in New York City with a collaborative of hospitals. And this is where we want to bring not just our birthing person, our patient reviews, but those doula reviews say a lot, because we ask, how many births have you seen at this hospital? So, you know, when I go to hospitals, I'm pushing for them to listen. I'm like, we may have a couple of hundred patient reviews, but those doulas may have together seen an exponential amount, 3-4 times that many of births. And so this is really powerful for us to start using the power of ourselves, our voices, but the power of doulas to help push for change. So I'm excited about that.
I am too. And for me, I've always, wanted there to be an accountability system, not just for medical professionals, but also for
Yeah.
doulas. And we at the NBDA, we get a lot of things that come through to where if we had an official rating system in place, then this would help to just add to the credibility or the knowledge base or the experience of, on both sides. And I'm a firm believer in peer-to-peer relationships. I think it's essential, especially for longevity in this field. And then also making sure that our families are being served and the mission is being accomplished by all as best as we can. So you guys, this is the reason why Kimberly and I put our brains together and came together and be like, look, I got what you need. You got what I need. Let's put these two major powerhouses together to further impact and bring forth change. So for Kimberly's folks, I am Tracie Collins. I'm the CEO and the founder of the National Black Doulas Association. It really needs to be changed to international because we have doulas in Ghana, we have Canada, and I know Mexico is floating up in there too. So we are global. And I created the NBDA back in 2017 after about 17 years in the birthing world as a doula first, then a traditional midwife, and then I came back into the doula field in 2012 full time, and I brought everything that I learned as a midwife into the doula world, and I was able to successfully support a lot of people through a lot of babies. Let me just say it like that. And in 2016, I knew Black women were dying and I had to do something. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I knew I had to do something. And so I really wanted a concise database where Black birthing professionals and Black birthing families can be found. And so hence, October 25th, I created the NBDA, and it has since grown to the largest Black and BIPOC doula training company in the world. Quickly, and it just took over. It just took over. But we are so proud of the work that we are doing, the training that's happening, the thousands of people that are coming through and want to be trained, not only want to be trained, but want to be certified by the NBDA. So we take people's educational journeys and experiences very seriously. And we also want to make sure that we are doing our best in our wheelhouse to be able to support our birthing professionals, but also provide a concise database of where Black and brown birthing professionals can be found, because representation does matter. And I really want people to be able to see that I can do this work and I can have a viable career to be able to support my family and still, have a lasting impact when it comes to change.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love all of that. I love all of that. And I think, this is why partnerships are so important, because, doulas play such an important part, but they can't do it on their own. It's not even fair to even act like doulas are going to save the world. And we've been saying on the Earth App Social, everybody's talking about doulas, but nobody's talking about the actual doulas, right? And so it's a big problem that now we want to kind of lionize and turn doulas into the savior, into a racist system that doulas didn't create. And often they feel themselves to be victims of, right? When they're trying to advocate for the clients and they're facing some of the same racist ideas and power struggles that are literally killing us. And so doulas need support. I think that technology is an important way for us to support doulas, lift up their voices, show that their perspectives matter as data. Their value is not just bedside and with that client. It is what they see, what they know, what they can add to our lived experience knowledge around what's going well, where we should birth. And I will tell you, Tracie, one thing that I remember you asked me about why I created Earth. One of my very early seed ideas around why I created Earth. I spent about 8 years kind of traveling around the country, working primarily on breastfeeding interventions and funded by
plug really quick. Kimberly's books, I think the Big
The
Letdown
big letdown.
has been one of our recommended books for our training since the inception.
Thank
Keep
you
going.
very much. I'm proud to see the big letdown included in a lot of amazing doula trainings. It gives me a lot of honor. But when I went to these cities, I started in Birmingham, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, really on the ground. And my projects were about saying that the community had answers, right? I came to this work as a journalist. I'm a former senior editor at Essence and a writer at Fortune. And when I came and got activated through my own birth experience into this journey, it was crazy to me that all the quote unquote solutions were allegedly with the academics and the medical folks. And I was like, um, what about the people, right? And as a journalist, I'm like, the first thing we do is go to the people. So in
Right.
these projects, I was literally knocking on doors with my team. You know, I let folks know it is the Jehovah Witness approach to breastfeeding disparities. I will knock your door, but we were asking, what do you think could be the solution? And in this process, first, let me tell you that white people who were resistant to the fact that I was in my own community asking questions of my community around solutions was just mind-blowing. But also it started this thinking that the community was always viewed as a place that other people, particularly white people, go to fix and change, and not that we are solution creators. And now we are showing that we have the solutions, we are solution creators. And so in all of these cities, I started in the Southeast. Kellogg funded us $500,000, took that project, expanded it to Philly. We went to Detroit, went back to Detroit. But every place I went, those doulas always know where to give birth safely.
Right.
No, don't go there, go there.
Right.
Go to this one. And it was like the secret underground railroad to
Right.
birth. And I kept saying that. And I was like, these doulas always know.
Right.
But how do we take that knowledge, put it on a digital platform so that everyone can benefit, and we turn it into data to start holding these folks accountable? I mean, that is the mission that we are on with Earth, and how we can lift up our voices, but those who care about Black birth, the voices of those who care about Black birth, for us. I'm trying to not look at the questions in the chat.
Right. So if you guys have questions, please drop them in the question box so we can get back to them and answer them. We don't want to miss anything. We want to continue the conversation, but we also want to make sure that we are giving the information that you guys need and that are asking for. So please drop it in the question box below. It's the circle with the question mark in there. Okay.
Tracie's on it because I get distracted. So yeah, but this was, really, really important. This idea that doulas had knowledge, and not just, again, that knowledge for that individual birthing person, but their value to the community, and now what their value could be nationally. I love reading the doula reviews in Earth because they are so powerful. They are so informative. We actually have a special icon in Earth for doula reviews so that our users know that this review was left by a doula. And so we want our users to value them and understand that they are here, and what they see and what they say really matters. And then understand that when we talk about doulas, it's not about them saving you in your birth. That is, I feel like that's a big misconception that's very dangerous. And I always tell folks the value of doulas is the education that they give you in that whole prenatal journey, so that when you're at your birth, you know so much. I've had like 2 C-sections I still can't explain, and I wish I knew. I wish I had a doula to educate me.
Talk to me privately, Kimberly. I'll help you. I'll be glad to help you, because that's how my brain works, and that is how I was able to, when I was working directly with clients, sorry not to cut you off, but people who were seeking VBACs, is because I had to dissect their first C-section to say, their first birth, like what happened. And there's 2 ways to look at a VBAC, and I can say all but one of my VBAC clients. And the only reason why the one that was not a successful VBAC was because she ended up having a placental abruption, which I called in the moment because nobody was paying attention.
Wow.
And we had to get the baby out right away. Yeah.
No, but it's true. I mean, my baby making days are over, girl. But
in me too.
that shop is way closed. But but that regret was stayed with me, right? And I didn't
Mm,
know. And to your point, my children were 4 years apart. And so I thought I could be back. And I did all the things that I could teach myself to do. That still didn't happen. But I I just didn't know about doulas back then to know that I needed that education. So that's what I really want people. It is not about a doula showing up at your birth per se. It is really about that education so that you know the questions to ask when you're being pressured. You know when they're saying something, what you can say, right? That's the real value. And so I really want us to better educate our community around, the value that doulas have, what they do, what they don't do. Because again, going to your accountability, we want folks to understand what's a reasonable expectation of a doula, so that they can, normalize the expectations. But that,
mhm.
we know that doulas are powerful. And so how do we kind of lift that up in our community, and then keep making sure that they are supported and that they have what they need to keep doing what they're doing?
I mean, how can I? My brain was like going off with sparks as you were speaking, and I think about normalizing the level of expectation, and then also the continuing to set the standard and the tone of what being a doula is, and making sure. I'm a firm believer in doulas giving their clients all of their information so the clients can make the best informed decision for themselves. But in order to be an effective doula, you have to be great at what you do. You have to understand what the information and education it is that you need in order to be impactful and powerful, and to have those repeat clients coming back, or the word of mouth, and doctors saying, we want this particular one, because there is a very fine line that doulas operate or work and on, under, in. And when it comes to Western medicine, you have to know what bureaucracy means, and what ACOG means, and what hospital culture means, and policies and procedures, and the physiology around birth itself, and all of the things. So if you are not properly educated, informed, and you cannot effectively support people in their birthing experiences. And birth is as unique as one's DNA. So no one birth is going to be the exact same. So, or no two births are going to be the exact same. So you really have to understand the physiology of birth. So when we talk about the neighborhoods that Kimberly was going into, or just any hospital, you have to understand from a geographical perspective, the cultures. So there's policies and procedures, there's ACOG, and then there's like the hospital culture. And I've had instances when I was working with clients to where they would work with certain medical professionals, and I would be like, if you want to work with me, you can't work with them. And they would change their medical provider because I knew the culture.
Absolutely.
I knew the culture, and I knew the practice. And culture, hospital culture differentiate when we talk about different doctor practices within that hospital itself. So this helps one have the best birth with you as their doula.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you said, having realistic expectations. I don't know who I was in a meeting with or who I said this to. Oh, I have a podcast coming up on the Better Health platform with Walmart, and we were prepping for that. And I said, doulas, we don't need all of the things. I said, we need to turn around and put the mirror and the accountability on these medical professionals. I said, everybody keeps focusing so much on doulas, and yes, there's a level of standard of operation that we have to adhere by, but these medical professionals need to sit in on cultural competency, need to sit on horizontal violence training, they need to sit in on doula trainings, all of the things. And if we would have been in there, or a proper person would have been in there, that young girl, that beautiful girl would not have lost her life a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And so
Valentine.
this is why it's so April's, and that was my daughter's friend.
Oh, no.
That was a really good friend of hers. They were friends. And so before it even came out, we already knew about it, and it's so unfortunate. And it was simply because they didn't believe her.
Right,
And
right. And
they didn't want to upset the doctors.
Right. And this is what we see in EarthApp reviews, that people are not being heard, their pain levels are being dismissed. I think right now the #1 negative experience reported in Earth Nationwide is my requests for help were ignored or refused. That is the #1 negative experience being reported in the Earth app right now on a national level. And we have reviews from 47 states plus Hawaii, right? #2 is my pain levels were dismissed. #3 is my physical privacy was violated. 4 is I experienced assumptions based on racial stereotypes. And number 5 is rude comments. You know, I mean, the number of people who feel like they're being coerced into contraception while they're in active labor, the number of people who are being judged for their marital status or not, for their children, the number of children they have, you know, rude comments. It's none of your business how many children we have, or
Right.
whether this is, if I see one more review where someone's partner was called Mr. Baby Daddy, I'm going to explode. It's disgusting, you know, and it's like, it's just the stuff that people are experiencing that we see all the time. It is just, you know, and I keep saying to people, Black people aren't asking for you to have a new medical degree or get a new fancy device. They're just asking to treat us like humans, you know, just like humans. Why? You know, so many reviews of people are assumed that they're on WIC. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't walk into my room telling me that you're assuming I'm on WIC because you see a Black face. You know, I mean, so much nonsense. So much nonsense. And these are the things that lead to the, you know, our deaths disproportionately. Not that someone lacked medical knowledge, but nobody listened when someone said, I'm in pain. You know, we can go back to stories.
It's, that's one of the things that, you know, there's a way to go about. I teach there's a way to go about getting in when you are asking for something and it's being denied, and there's an accountability way to go about, and you know, from a hierarchy standpoint, how to climb up that hierarchy, you know, so you can make sure that things are being documented, your requests are being denied, because once they understand that they are asking to, you know, for to be documented, that they are denying a specific request, and you are moving up the hierarchy or the chain of command, they begin to acquiesce to the need. To speak to your point, we've reached out to Emory, and I'm gonna call them out on right now. But we've reached out to Emory, and with the nurses that got fired because of that TikTok. We were just talking about it in our staff meeting this morning. We've yet to hear from them.
We've been reaching out to them too. So let's see if any of us hear back from Emory. You know, it is deeply troubling. And that's another thing that's so interesting in our data, the impact of nurses, right? I know we think about the doctors, but when we looked at the data around the impact of nurses to that 5-star experience, to a 1-star experience, it was very, very high, a very high correlation. And looking at all the negative comments that were attributed to a nurse is really, you know, disgusting. And, you know, those nurses are often making or breaking, and even in the situation as the family is telling the story with our poor sister April, you know, that it was the nurses who were saying no, that they didn't want to. And so again, we often put it on, you know, yes, the doctors, but these nurses, even in our Earth App reviews, the number of negative comments are coming from the nurses, and the obstacles coming from the nurses needs to be addressed. And it was just crazy. I got to speak at a nurses conference recently, and we shared Earth App data, and, you know, they were embarrassed. I was embarrassed for them, but I kept telling them this is unacceptable. So once we start publicly sharing that data, which we will be doing this year, it's about time that we have been asking folks to do better. I would, you know, we will let Emory know that we are happy to publish their Earth App reviews publicly, and then we can go from there. But I'm not
Make
here.
sure you share it with us, because we will more than, you know, share the information too.
Yes, we are getting close to our data thresholds to start doing that. So I'm excited, because for me, the transparency is where our power lies, right? They've been allowed to keep this information, this data behind back doors. Even when one of our sisters dies, they will, you know, try to make it like it's a one-off. But what if we have thousands of experiences showing this is a pattern? This is not a one-off. They can't dismiss you, because they try to dismiss what happened to me. They'll dismiss this person. They'll dismiss April's family if they could. But when we start showing our stories and sharing in numbers, now they're going to have to pay attention. And then we're going to start sharing it actively, publicly, with media support. So this is why we are so excited about the power of doulas to
You,
help us make this happen.
if you could, because I'm going to be on the Better Health podcast really soon, and they're huge. When I saw the companies who were under them, it's amazing. So myself and my our team at Walmart. And so if you could have any, preliminary information that you can
Yeah.
share with me on the back of that, you're okay with me speaking about and having, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So we're excited about starting to share our data because we know that unfortunately they need it to to validate anything, And so I'm here to make sure that they understand that our voices, our data, our experiences are valuable feedback, and that they have to start paying attention. It's the only way that through the transparency and accountability, because right now they get to do those trainings, they think they're doing something great, and they're still literally killing us, killing us. And so
And what
we
they
have to
fail to realize is it's not until Black women stop dying that all birth will be better for everyone.
That's right.
It's not like in spite of Black women, it is when, because, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole. I'm gonna keep it professional, because Kimberly, you guys, to me, Kimberly is always so poised and polished, and then there's Tracie, who's just straight Oakland. So I'm gonna keep it.
Hey, Kimberly's from Queens, so if we need to go there,
gonna keep it cute. Okay, you guys. So if you have, and thank you, Honey Grimm, who bought the badge. Thank you so much. Let's get to the questions in the chat box. Let's see what we have. Oh God, we have so many questions. So, what's the name of the book? I think that was put in here, but I'll let
The Big Letdown: How Breastfeeding, How Medicine, Big Business, and Feminism Undermine Breastfeeding. So yes, please read it. It's one of my babies. I think it's my fifth book. Yeah, it's my fifth baby. But really starts to understand infant feeding from a different landscape, not just as Black people, but understanding the economics, the commercial interests, what happened when they figured out they can make money by replicating mother's milk. Everything went downhill. So it's really eye-opening and a little upsetting. So people tell me they can't read it at night, but it's an important context for understanding why we are where we are with breastfeeding and even birth in this country. Thank you.
I don't know if I told you. I don't think I did. I just finished my autobiography, and in my book, and it's going to be released this year. In my book, and there's already a wait list generated from it. I speak about the racism in the birth field. Period. So not from Black women dying. Yes, I talk about the NBDA and why, but I've talked specifically about the Karens and the Karen institutions in this field. I was like, I've been in this field too long. I said, I'm about to tell y'all the tea. So, and I wanted to shed light on it because people get into this work, think it's glamorized. Social media glamorizes birth, and I got tired of it. I don't like that. I think it gives a misconception about what this work. This work is life and death. It is life or death, and it's always that. And if you don't get into understanding the gravity of what this means, then you will fail. So I speak specifically about that. Okay, let's go.
So important. And like that whole idea of glamorizing birth, breastfeeding, and motherhood sets people up for failure, right? And think about the commercial interest. I talk about this a lot in the book. It's like, so then when you see this glamorized image and what you're experiencing feels like the exact opposite, you're like, I must be missing something. Something's wrong with me. I need to buy this product. I need to get this gadget. I need to get this. And that's the way they keep us in this crazy, hamster wheel when everybody is doing the best that they can. And, we need to be more honest about that.
Right. Okay.
Oh, and I can't forget us to share that January 31st, we're having a Earth informational session for with the National Black Doula Association. I think it's
Oh
at
yeah.
6 p.m. So if anyone is interested in coming to learn about Earth, to learn about our Earth Ambassador Program, our Earth Doula Ambassador Program that I'm incredibly proud of, please join us on January 31st at 6 p.m. Eastern with the National Black Doula Association for a powerful session about, what we can do. I think we'll have a link on the Earth app link tree for folks who want to learn more about our National Doula Ambassador Program and how we're supporting doulas through our work.
Yes, so exciting. So let me see. Are there attorneys willing to align with birth workers to confront the abusive comments and treatment in hospitals? I don't know.
Well, you know what? Charles Johnson has filed the first, kind of lawsuit against
Yeah.
Cedars, and I have
Mm-hmm.
seen, other folks thinking about what's going on. There have been, I don't know in your part of the country, but certainly I know on the infant feeding side, we're seeing lots of commercials for class action lawsuits around infant formula. So I feel like people are starting to see that. Unfortunately, we live in a litigious country, but when people see there could be money in lawsuits, they
Right.
will come around. And, I think that it is coming, and we are so grateful to our brother Charles Johnson for the way that
Mm-hmm.
he's been fearlessly and tirelessly advocating and, really pushing for accountability, even on the legal side. So I think,
He's doing a
there's a
great
lot to
job.
watch there.
Yeah,
Hmm?
he's
He
doing a great job.
really
I mean,
is.
he really has turned his tragedy, into triumph. And he's such a big supporter of us and vice versa. So I love watching him
Yes,
work.
yes, yes. He is. He's been
I,
a huge supporter of Earth, and we're very grateful.
mm-hmm. How can I do more with the NBDA and Earth and all of this greatness? Well, we appreciate it. What do you say? Like, you just mentioned the ambassador program. Yeah,
Yes,
I
and
think
well, one
also
thing.
like spreading the word too.
Absolutely. We would love more doulas to leave reviews in the Earth app, right? We created a space for doulas to share anonymously what they're experiencing as a way to help inform and protect our community. So we would love every doula here to spread the word, download the app, leave your own review, and then tell your clients, right?
Mhm.
Tell your clients about Earth and ask them to leave reviews. How can you institute it into your practice? This is something we'll share on the Earth Masterclass that we're going to do, ways that we can do it, and we'll talk about the requirements. I want to share, like, one of the things that when we were sharing on social media about everybody's talking about doulas, but nobody's talking about the actual doulas, we just piloted a program in New York City that I'm incredibly proud of, where we had I think we have 20 Earth doula ambassadors, and what we created through our funding partner, the New York State Health Foundation, was a paid opportunity. The doulas received a monthly stipend to help us reach a certain number of goals for getting reviews. But more importantly to me, Tracie, what we gave doulas in our ambassador program was a therapist who was available to them
Mhm.
every other week and for individual sessions. We had a speaker series to help them develop their business and talk about marketing. And, we had a personal series that we talked about money and working our relationship with money as women of color, just really trying to pour into doulas. And so for me, I made a commitment that Earth wants to be the brand that's taking care of those taking care of Black birth. Like, that is
Mhm.
what I do and what Earth is about every day. And so we're excited about learning more about how we can be of service to doulas, how we can support them while they are doing the important work. So we're inviting folks to come to the informational session. We'd love to hear what you need. And if we can make it happen, we would love to do that. And then think about our national program that we've now done in New York City. We'll be starting one in LA soon. We have a really small cohort in Philadelphia with the Maternal Wellness Village, but really taking this on a national level to bring folks into an opportunity to support Earth, but for us to pour back into them. So I'm excited about further exploring that and learning how we can be of service.
Right. And I'm a firm believer. That's why when I created our NBDA doula trainings, that there's a business component embedded into all of it. And what I unfortunately see is there's the disinterest that happens when the business piece comes about. But what people don't realize is, like, you have to understand how to be in business in order to be of service.
Yeah.
And they just want to go do the work, but you have to make sure that you have a strong business foundation and acumen, and it comes over time. And we understand that that is not something that we grew up with, sitting around a kitchen table having those talks with our families about. And it's because we understand that we have embedded it into the foundation of, the NBDA. It's like a part of the educational development. But it's interesting. So I'll be interested to hear about the level of interest when you start talking about the business component, because it's about value. It's about your value system. It's about self-value and how to get support from insurance companies or third-party payment processors, and making yourself like positioning yourself in your practice or your company where it can receive the needed funding to be able to do the work. So
Yeah.
I'm a business girl.
I
So
know
when
you
I
are,
get
and that's one thing I appreciate about you, because I think there's been this idea, and I experience this a lot in the breastfeeding work. Like, if you're in birth and breastfeeding, that's associated with struggle. I don't believe in that. I
Mm.
believe that we can do good and do well. I mean, no one came into this to get rich, but too many doulas are struggling,
And
and that's
I
not
don't need to be.
that's not going to help you stay in the work. And so,
Yeah.
how do we, as Black women committed to a work that we're incredibly passionate about, also understand that this work should sustain us? It should sustain our families. We should not be
Mm-hmm.
struggling, for the sake of the work. And if you choose to, but that should not have to be the case,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is another way.
Or no, we shouldn't be expected
We
to
shouldn't be
either.
expected to. Exactly.
Because because what I've noticed too is the Black doulas, or the Black and brown doulas, are more so expected to be looked
Exactly.
at to where they're free or low cost. And I've been in there changing that narrative from the jump, like, and that, I think that's what helped the NBDA. It wasn't until I became publicly speaking about the earning, about and it being able to do exactly what you just spoke about, being able to not only survive but thrive and still be able to give
Right.
back, in a sense that, let me show you what I did and what I know so you can replicate it. I don't want you to make the mistakes that I did or have the failures that let me show you how to win on both sides. And I'm a firm believer that you can be of great service, do great work, but you have to also take care of home first. We don't want you surviving or barely surviving. We want you thriving.
Right. And we know that that's possible in our community. And this is what I want to pull
Mm-hmm.
back to talk about the danger of individualizing birth, right? In this country,
Woo.
birth used to be communal,
Yeah.
breastfeeding was communal. It's become highly individualized, whereas your success depends on you. And what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is, it is not up to you to afford the doula. That is something the community should take on.
Mm-hmm.
I see way too many fancy baby showers on Instagram. I see way too
Gender
many
reveals.
$500,000 diaper bags on Instagram. And I'm like,
Gender.
we
Right.
know how we show up for a baby
Right.
shower, for a photo. Now we can pass the same plate for the doula,
Right.
right? And so, how do we not make it like, well, you have to afford the doula? I'm like, no. Let's make it a community thing. Like, put it on your
Right.
registry. Make
Right.
sure everybody who's organizing your baby shower knows that there needs to be a doula, and everyone's going to put in $50
Mm-hmm.
toward that, or whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be about what you can afford. I'm like, well, what about if we open up to the community? Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody should be supporting that birthing person and helping them get a doula and whatever else they want, a midwife and a home birth, and we can make it happen. Then let's just all make it happen. But we as Black people have to take the commercialized piece of birth that has been put upon us and turn that around to focus on how we can
How
thrive and
get
survive in the experience.
Get rid of that colonial way of thinking, that colonialized thinking. You have got to unlearn a lot of processes. And that is what individualism is. Absolutely. It has torn our communities apart,
On us.
that individualized way of thinking. And so I'm so glad that you said that. That is all colonialized behavior, all
Yeah.
of it. that whole individual. We are naturally communal people. So getting back to what our ancestors did in order to elevate, live and survive, and be taken care of is absolutely an essential what we need in regarding our progression and moving forward in this work.
Yeah, it's so important. So I'm just asking everyone, if you have anybody who's pregnant, please help them, let the community know that a doula needs to be part of our financial investment in this person, our love for
Absolutely.
this person. Yes, they need a diaper bag, but come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. So we can do better to help support them to have what they need to have a safe, educated, thriving pregnancy and childbirth. And so I always say that, and I'm always hopeful that we can make that our community commitment to everyone that we know who's expecting, so that we can start making that our norm. That is our standard thing that we do. If we know a Black person, somebody is starting a doula fund, okay?
Right.
So we can get that done.
The doula.
Right, there we go. But let's just get that going. There we go.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's really, really important. And I think that the more that we do that and own it, then we can make it happen.
Somebody had a question earlier, and I don't want to not answer it. They asked if they didn't train with the NBDA, can they certify? And the answer is no, because you have to go through our training and the necessary steps for certification in order to receive the NBDA certification. That is a question that we do get a lot, but we want to make sure that you are getting the essentials of what it means to be a Black and brown birth worker, supporting, everybody, but also supporting Black and brown birthing people in this society. So. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Kimberly. I'm so glad we had this long overdue conversation. I'm so glad that we are joining forces. We do have something on the table, you guys, that we're going to circle back around to, because we are expanding. Our goal is to expand the level of accountability. And this is one of the reasons why we joined forces. And I can't wait for our doulas to experience, our membership to experience the masterclass that's coming forward with Earth. And we are so glad to bring that forth, and anything that we can do on our end to further amplify this mission, please let us know.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. We know that it's going to take all of us, right? And so the more that we can work together, the more that we can model the important partnership that needs to happen in among those of us who care about Black birthing and Black birthing outcomes. I think that it's going to be impactful, not only in what we've got cooking up and what we plan to do together, but the demonstration that partnership is everything, and that none of us is going to make it alone, and that we need all the things, the people working on that with the birthing people, the technology people, the advocacy people, the media people. We need all the things. All the things for us to turn this around. So I'm super excited. Looking forward to, again, January 31st at 6 p.m. ET for our Earth Masterclass, and sharing more about how we can work together.
Can you confirm if you received the email regarding the Walmart work study? I cannot confirm. Kayla would have to confirm that, but if you can circle the email back up to the top of ours, just resend it to us, then I will make sure that Kayla gets on that right away. Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. Please be sure, to follow Earth, to follow Kimberly. And for those of you guys who are just meeting me or the NBDA for the very first time, thank you so much for joining us and for being here. And we are going to save this live, and we are going to download it, and it's going to live on our YouTube channel, just so you guys know. Okay.
All right. Wonderful.
Thank you. I will talk to you soon.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye.